Okay, hi everybody. Welcome back to another English class here on Verbling.com. My name is Lisa. I'm one of the English teachers here at Verbling. And in this hour, we're going to be having a speaking class. So if you have a reservation for this class, go ahead and use it now. You get to use it in the first 2 minutes of the class. If you don't use it, then the join classes button becomes available to everybody, and anybody who is a Verbling member can join the class at that time. So, hi, Chow.
Hi, Lisa.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good. Where are you?
I'm in new apartment. I moved to a new apartment last month, and I'm at this new apartment. So,
nice.
yeah.
Is it all to yourself, or do you have roommates?
I have a roommate, which is my girlfriend, who sometimes sometimes she come and sometimes she have to stay in the school.
I see. Okay, good. That's a nice roommate to have. Cool.
Sometimes it is.
Sometimes. Is she there now?
Yeah, she is now.
Okay.
And she's about to go to the school, so.
Wow, what time is it there?
It's 7 a.m.
7 a.m. on Saturday
Yeah.
morning. Wow.
Yeah, I think there's some kind of class on Saturday to compensate. There was a holiday, so.
Oh, I
But
see.
yeah.
Oh, okay. So you have to go to make it up, we say. Make up the class.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, guys. So, hi, Raphael. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. Fine, thanks for asking. You?
Good. Did you give your brain a rest so you could participate in some more classes now?
Yes, kind of.
Good. Don't want to work too hard. Are you still on vacation?
Kind of vacations. I'm staying home. Actually I left my job. I'm looking for a better job opportunity. So
okay.
I'm taking this time to study a little bit and do other things I haven't had time yet to solve.
Nice. Okay. Cool. So kind of a transition period for you.
Yes, that's for me.
Nice. Well, I taught a class earlier this morning. Maybe you should go look at it. It was six different people, hiring managers, and they're kind of like tips for how to get the job you want. So they had some good advice in there. But I'm sure you know how to get a job, so.
I think everything information it's good. It's okay. I think I'll look for a class after.
Okay. Yeah. It's kind of common sense things, but it was some things that they noticed that really stand out when somebody really wants to get a job, like really knowing what the company is about and researching their website, being kind of assertive in showing your confidence and that you know what you're talking about. And so there's some good ideas. So it was good. It's worth reading. It's a quick read. So yeah. Hi, João. How are you?
Hi, Lisa. I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. This is going to be my last class for the day, and then when I finish, it will be 5 o'clock, and then I'll see where my kids are because I don't know where they are right now. They're home from school, but they went off somewhere else, so I don't know what they're doing. Okay. Okay, so like I put on the thing, the description, this is going to be a speaking class, and I made a new document here, a new list of controversial topics or topics for discussion. I've noticed here on Verbling that they're not always controversial anyways, but I actually took these from a website. So these are all links, actually. So if you click on them, you can go to a link. And this is a website called procon.org. And there are lots of different websites like this, but this is kind of a fun one. And so they put up a question, and then people respond, and they write whether or not they agree with this or they don't agree with it. And so then we get to see what the arguments are. So the arguments for something like yes, the video games do contribute to youth violence, or the cons like no, they don't. And people are trying to provide some actual facts, factual information, and then people also kind of give their opinions. So that's up here at the top, I think. Yeah. So anyways, we have some people, for and against all these different things. So I thought we could, for the speaking class this hour, we could choose, we'll start with one, maybe we'll do a couple of them, I don't know, but we could choose one off of the list, and then we could read what the kind of the pros and the cons are, and then you guys can talk about what you think. What would you be? Would you be on the pro side? Would you be on the con side? That type of thing. So it's kind of fun way to practice your English, express yourself. It's definitely a different way where you want to maybe be a little bit more confident and sharing your experiences and your opinions. So usually we have a good time doing this. Okay, and Luis is coming in. The class was fully booked, but you never know who's going to actually show up. So we might have some more people join us as we get started here. So I know Chao is waking up. It's early in the morning. So Chao, this early in the morning, what would you like to talk about?
Well, I don't know anything. Maybe we can start from the slide one and then to.
Well, let me read through them. So let me give you guys a little bit of time to think, and I will read through them, and you'll think about which ones, and then if you want, Chao, you can choose, or you can choose somebody else to choose. So number one is, do violent video games contribute to youth violence? Now, the one thing about this website is that it's in the United States, so it's about the U.S. It's not an international one. So that's coming from the point of view of in the United States. But I think it's relevant to people, obviously, in other countries as well. So that's why we can talk about them. And you may have different experiences in your own country with this same issue and have different opinions as well. So number two is, should performance-enhancing drugs, such as steroids, be accepted in sports like weightlifting, cycling, football, whatever? Number three, do electronic voting machines improve the voting process? Some people think yes, some people think no. Number four, we have talked about this one before. Should the death penalty be allowed? Number five, oh, there's no six there. Should students have to wear school uniforms? I don't know if this is controversial in other countries, but here in the U.S., typically students do not have to wear uniforms unless you go to like a private school or something. And recently, maybe in the last 20 years or so, some public schools do require students to wear uniforms, and it's controversial. People don't want to. People do want, so it's controversial. 6, should the U.S. drinking age be lowered from 21 to a younger age? So I know it is lowered in many countries, so maybe you have opinions about why that's a good thing or not a good thing. Number 7, are social networking sites good for our society? This is like talked about every single day of our lives, just about. So it's a good idea to be able to express your opinion about that. Should tablets replace textbooks in K through 12 schools? So again, this is in the U.S., kindergarten through high school. So should we have like iPads or tablets rather than textbooks nowadays? That's controversial here. 9, can alternative energy effectively replace fossil fuels? Very controversial. And number 10, should politicians be limited to a specific amount of time, which we call a term, or be allowed to keep going as long as they keep getting re-elected? So there's 10 different possibilities there. Chao, did you have an idea?
Yeah. Well, why not we just start from the first one?
Okay. We'll start with number 1. All right, so let's see. How about, Chao, you want to read a background on this? Just read this, those 2 things right there. Can you see that? Is it big enough?
Yeah, I can see it. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, 97% of 12 to 17 year old in the United States played video game in 2008, thus fueling an 11.7 billion domestic video game industry. In 2008, 10 of the top 20 best-selling video games in the United States contained violence. Violent video games have been blamed for school shooting, increase in bullying, and violence toward women. Critics argue that this game desensitize,
Mm-hmm.
player
Desensitize.
desensitize players to violence, reward players for stimulating violence, and teach students that violence is an acceptable way to resolve conflicts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what some people believe. This is their argument, that it desensitizes players, so that means you get less sensitive to violence. You don't really care that much anymore about it, and you actually get rewarded for doing simulations of violence, and that maybe it teaches children that it's okay, it's acceptable to fix a conflict or resolve a conflict with violence. So those are some of the things that some people are concerned about. João, why don't you read this next paragraph here?
Okay. Video game advocates contend that a majority of the research on the topic is deeply flawed, and that no causal relationship has been found between video games and social violence. They argue that violent video games may reduce violence by serving as a substitute for how rough
Mm-hmm.
and tumble play, and by providing a safe outlet for aggressive and angry feelings.
Mm-hmm. So up here, these were the reasons why violent video games are bad, and these people are called video game advocates. So they are the ones who like video games, including ones that might be violent, and they contend, so they say or they argue that the research is deeply flawed. It means there are problems with the research, and that there is no causal, so not casual, but causal, the use in a different place, causal relationship. So that means video games do not cause these violent acts. So they have not been found to cause social violence. So they say instead, some of the good things about these, especially the violent video games, is that they actually might reduce violence. And the way they would do that is by serving as a substitute. So instead of rough and tumble play, so if you think of rough and tumble, this is what boys especially like to do, wrestling and play fighting, and it's kind of rough, you know, sometimes, and tumble means like you might be falling down and getting hurt and stuff like that. So boys aren't doing that as much, and it might provide a safe outlet for aggressive and angry feelings. So if you get aggressive or you feel angry, instead of going and actually harming somebody, maybe it's okay just to play a video game. You'll feel better after you play the video game. All right, we're not going to read through all of this. That's kind of the main idea there, the pros and the cons, and then there's, you know, certainly more research that people do all the time and trying to figure out what, you know, what the effects of these games are, and, you know, especially because we're talking about children ages 12, what did it say, 12 to 18. So, yeah, what do you guys think about this? Xiao, go. You picked the first one, so what do you think?
Yeah, just like the research said that there's no causal relationship with a video game and the violence. So, and what I care is not particular. Well, if violent video game contribute to youth violence, I mean, maybe sometimes it do. I mean, but what should we do with the violent video game? Should we ban it or not?
Right, exactly. What do we do? Yeah.
I mean, does the existence of knife increase the violence happen? I think they do. I mean, because of the knife, that people can use a knife to to hurt people. I think they do, but it's not, that is not the justified reason for us to ban the knife. I mean,
Yeah.
like a famous saying that people always say that guns don't kill people, only people kill people.
People kill people. Yeah.
Yeah, so well, we cannot blame to the knife and to the video game itself, but to educate the people to create a more I don't know, to make the law more effective and to educate the people. And but now to ban the video game is good. I think, like they said, I like the how they said that as a substitute to reduce the people's angry feelings so that they can play it on the video game rather to go to the real world.
Yeah, the real world. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like recently Chinese government banned a adult video website or software, like a porn software.
Oh, okay.
But after that, ironically, the rate of rapes and some violence increased. So people say that because the government banned the porn software, so that people have nowhere to some kind of to release their desire, and so they come to the real world and to do something. Well, I think it makes sense. I mean, you have to have a door, have a way for the people to find something which is, well, not harm others, but as a way to release their feelings.
Okay, so this would probably go along with, I think, your general political view of not controlling other people. That's like a libertarian kind of viewpoint of having freedom of choice and not trying to control what people do in their own private lives.
Yeah, just don't have too much prior restraint on people.
So trusting that people can make their own decisions, and maybe you might need education, but overall it's not the government's job to ban everything that might possibly be used in a bad way or something.
Yeah, we cannot to assume that everyone is suspect. We have to have a strong legislation system or the judicial system to say that if someone confess a crime, they have to get a fair judgment on them. But we don't need too much prior restraint on people.
Yeah, prior, like trying to keep them from creating, doing bad things or whatever. Yeah. Okay. All right, Joao, what do you think about this idea of violent video games? Do you think they contribute to youth violence in the world?
I agree with Chao about the government is freedom for the people, but I think that video games can contribute to the violence, because I think you are what you think, and if you play a lot of violence in the video game, you could be a violent person.
And okay, let's keep hearing from everybody, and then I have another question. Luis, what's your opinion about this? Do violent video games contribute to youth violence?
Chao remembers that the idea of the government controlling our habits is always concerning, but I believe that in this situation, the scholars that contribute about the education must be concerned about the behavior of the childhood and the youth as well. So why use the technology of the video games, of the KidNet, for create violent video game if we can create another kinds of games that there is no violence. I believe that that can stimulate violence between the children and between the youth, the young people. And these people, when grow up, can be a violent person as well. Can be a thief, or can be, I don't know, hurt your wife, hurt your children, hurt your grandfather. I think it can be a point, can be stimulating.
Okay. One of these things is it's always hard to debate when we don't always have like enough information. But even just looking at this one thing, it's kind of interesting. It doesn't necessarily give us all the information we need, though, because we could have some questions. But it looks like the total violent crime offenses have decreased, while the computer and video game sales have increased. Now, we don't know if those are increases only in violent video games or in all types of video games, and if, what percentage are actually violent, but that's what they probably want us to think, at least, looking at this. So, it seems like it is a logical thing that it would contribute, yet the people who say it doesn't are pointing to the fact that the studies aren't showing that we're more violent because of these video games. But it's hard to know for sure. Rafael, what do you think?
I think since the government, the fact they don't have enough infrastructure to provide children with social following, helping them with how to deal with how to face how to deal with things in their lives, how to learn things, how to differentiate what is right or wrong. I believe if they don't provide I can say a companionship, I don't know. So I believe that if they are, I believe that they are allowed to. I think there's no relation between the rise in violence and the use of video games, because people have I think children nowadays, if they receive a good education, if they receive a good if they are well educated, I think they will be able to differentiate what is right or wrong. But if the unchecked use of video games, it's harmful, I believe, in some way, because not regarding violence, but regarding other activities, children might. I think children need to go through in their lives, be in contact with nature, see the world out there. I think, in my opinion, everything which is used unchecked, it's harmful for people, including children and everyone.
Okay, so, all right, good. So we have basic ideas. So, Chao, you're the main one who's not as concerned, and you're the youngest one, and you said that you've played Grand Theft Auto. So what is it about the games that are so appealing to young children, especially boys? I notice I have teenage boys, and they, of course, like to play, let's see, latest is Black Ops, but they've played Halo and Skyrim and FIFA Soccer, things like that. But, it definitely holds their interest for quite a while. But I haven't let them play Grand Theft Auto. They haven't asked to play that one. That one's crazy.
Oh, it is crazy.
So what do you like about it?
Actually, I don't play it often now. I think I was crazy about it when I was in high school. I played it on the PlayStation 2 even. I don't have the new PlayStation.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I think most of the part is violence part attract people. I mean, you can, I don't know, you can drive a car and to crash anything you want, and you can shoot the cops, and well, the whole thing is just attractive because it cannot happen in the real world, and I think people may have the desire of some curiosities to do so, and they can do it in the video game, the virtual world. It's a good way to release our stress, and it's a good way to some kind of realize something you cannot do in the real world. And well, one time after I played that, and I went on the street, and I saw a cop car, I mean the police car, and I want to open it and drive it. But it just a kind of a thought, and then it went away. I mean, it's but I don't think it will change my behavior in the real world. I mean, if you have your philosophy right and you have your own self-control.
So, Chao, so as a person, you feel comfortable making your own decisions, and even if you notice maybe your mind thinks a little differently after playing the game in relationship to a cop car or something, you're pretty confident that it's not making you into a more violent person.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, yeah. It just answer it doesn't. And I think after playing that, I may feel more happy because I released my stress and I have had fun with that. So and I can focus on the things I was previously I can do and I can enjoy. So I think it's a good way to.
Do you think that the video games are addictive? Do you think that some boys especially have problems? Like if you have a life, you have studies and you do other courses and you're studying English, and some people have concerns that some people spend too many hours a day playing these games. So maybe they're not becoming violent, but they're just wasting a lot of time. Kind of maybe what Raphael, you were saying, just the fact that you could be doing other things with the same time, like being out in nature, getting exercise, maybe meeting with your friends, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, for the very young case, I think it is it kind of a responsibility for the children to control the time a little bit so that they cannot be addictive to that. But for the adult, for the teenager, I think it's okay for them to addictive in the video game. I mean, as long as it did not harm others. I mean, it is just their own choice to do so. They can do the same choice like to stay overnight and to drink. I don't know, maybe to drink Coca-Cola. I think that one is maybe harmful to their health also. And to eat fast food every day. I think those things are also harmful and addictive, but it's just their personal choice. They can do everything they want to their own body.
Yeah. So okay. So yeah, maybe in the long run, a certain level of addiction during your teenage years to video games is less harmful to you even than drinking or drugs, other things that you might become addicted to during that time period of your life. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joao, go ahead.
No, what I mean is that addicted to the video game, it just seems like to addicted to other things. I think it's perfectly okay when you can make your own choice to your own.
Oh, okay.
Somebody, yeah.
So you're not hurting others.
Yeah, as long as you don't hurt others, you just you value the risk. Before
Yeah.
you do it, I think it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so you're saying even if you have an addiction to anything, as long as you're not hurting other people, it's your thing. It's kind of
Exactly. For
it's your life kind of thing.
yeah, for irrational people who maybe not for the very young kids, but for the teenage and for the people who
For
can,
somebody who can make decisions. Okay.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. And Joao, did you ever play video games, or do you play video games now?
I don't play video games, and when I was young, I I didn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I play soccer in video games, but not much.
Not much. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about nowadays in Brazil? Are these violent video games pretty popular for
Yes,
young people?
my
Yeah.
little brothers play a lot of video game.
And do they tend to like the more violent ones, or what type do they like?
I don't know. I think if you have a solid education in
Yeah.
your family,
Uh-huh.
it's hard the video game contribute for violence.
Mm-hmm.
But if the boy is weak, weak,
Psychologically, yeah, or mentally, yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
so the video games can contribute to.
So we could use a word, maybe I'll teach you this new word that could be useful in this sense. So maybe if you don't have any kind of mental problems or, traumatic lifestyle or, things that would affect you in a negative way, and you're just playing video games, maybe it's okay, but you're saying that maybe if you have some kind of problems already, it could exacerbate. So exacerbate is just a kind of a fancy word. It just means to make things worse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So maybe playing
I
a violent video game would make it worse for you. Yeah.
Yes, and
Exactly.
I think nowadays a lot of families have problems.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So maybe it does contribute then.
yeah.
Because they're already having issues. Okay. Did you want to say something, Rafael?
You mentioned something about people who have problems, mental problems, who won't be able to play video games. But okay, but who will define who and who are not able to play video games? I think everyone
Sure,
have
yeah.
a psychological specializing in children and just to define, hey, you can't play video games. Hey, you cannot play video games. Sorry, guys. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little, at least for me, it's a little difficult to define.
Yes, yeah, it would be. The main thing here might be the fact that the parents have a role to play here, just like they have a role in anything. Parents are always trying to figure out, how best can I help my child have a successful life, grow up successfully. And it can be very difficult because parents, they have to go against the culture, maybe. Maybe they go against what's really happening for the kid. And, just like you have to make a decision as a parent, do you let them eat this or that? Do you let them go out late at night? Do you let them watch movies, rated R movies or something? Do you let them play video games whenever they want, however much they want, any kind? So it comes down to parent as well. And I think that I think what you're saying is true, Rafael. Like, nobody can really know how could you regulate who should play a video game and who couldn't. It's not like you take a test. Okay, you pass, you get to play the video games or something.
Yes, and that's actually that's the biggest concern because parents, they are not able to monitor children.
It's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
They have to work. They have their duties and everything. So it's complicated. They left to work and they let children alone doing whatever they want. So.
Or we have another saying. Parents have a saying called we choose our battles.
Yes, yes.
So sometimes you might not want to argue so much with your kid about the choices they're making, and so you will let them do this, and maybe you're stricter on this other thing, something else. So, hi Yuki, welcome. Welcome to the class.
Hi there.
Yeah, hi
I'm sorry
there.
for late to joining.
No problem. We're good.
How is it going?
It's great. It's going great. We're just
Great.
having this conversation about whether or not we think violent video games contribute to youth violence. So we've been talking about our opinions, and it's Luis's turn. So Luis, what did you want to say? You're bringing in another comment about sometimes video games can actually help treating people. I've read that too. Yeah.
Yeah, because Rafael rise up with the person has mental problem, and sometimes the video game can be pedagogic or
Yeah.
helping
Helpful.
the patient, helpful the patients or the kid or the young with his willness.
Yes. Yes.
Because the patient can be the tendency for aggressive or less intelligence, and the video game can increase the skills.
Yes. I've also read that video games can help surgeons be better surgeons because they're more precise. They're able to, I don't know exactly what it would be like, but they were, in the study it said that surgeons who played video games, they did better at the surgeries. They were more detail oriented, and they were more, they were able to see things better, more clearly.
And sometimes some surgeon tools that look like a video game.
They
There
use
is robotic surgery. The surgery don't
high-tech
act
surgery.
directly on the patients. Use an instrument, technological instrument.
Yes, exactly. That's what I read too. And when I read that, I thought, well, if I need surgery, I want the guy who's been playing the video games because he's supposed to be better. Yeah, exactly. Well, so you're a doctor, but do you work with children at all, Luis?
Sometimes, yeah, I see children as well.
So I noticed in this page that we're kind of looking at here, some doctors on this side, they're on the idea that children should not have so much violence in their life, violent entertainment, watching violence, violent video games, that a lot of doctors who work with young children, that's what they believe. So it's not really so good for young children. Probably over here on the con side is more people who are talking about adults. I think a lot of people, they think it's okay for adults, but children's another kind of situation.
Yeah. And I will remember here, I am in the generation that I played Atari. So
Atari,
it's very different.
Yeah.
PlayStation, Wii, the video games are very, very different. So I remember playing Pac-Man. If you hate.
Yeah, eating little
games,
ducks.
different games from we have nowadays.
Absolutely. Yeah, certainly that's another point is, playing Pac-Man versus, where your whole point of the game is just to, go around this maze and eat the dots up, and it's kind of fun and it's a challenge, and, you're not really doing much, but that's what it is, versus, games like I told you that my kids like to play, where basically you're just in war, and you're some guy, and maybe, you're the good guy, I don't know, maybe you think you're the good guy, but the main idea is to go and shoot people, and they really try to make it pretty real. Like, that's kind of the goal of video game designers, is how do we make this seem even more real, like with the sounds, with a storyline, with the images, the bodies, I don't think they necessarily always have a lot of blood, but sometimes they do, you know. So it definitely could be scary images for some people, you know. So.
Yeah, look, it seems a big production, like a
Absolutely.
movie.
Yeah, well, even sometimes I didn't realize this because I don't really watch my kids play that much, and I'm not very good at these games, so they're boring for me, so I don't really play them. But they have a whole storyline, it's a whole story, what's happening, and with the characters, and who's supposed to be doing what.
A soundtrack.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, soundtrack. Although my kids have learned some things. They do say things, and I say, "Where did you learn that?" It's like Black Ops or some other thing. Yeah, Raphael, what do you have to say about all this? What we've been talking about, and then I want to hear from Yuki after you, Raphael. So, Raphael, it sounds like you're mainly of the opinion that, violent or not, kids should be doing some other things besides playing video games.
Exactly, because I don't think we are not. I think we shouldn't talk only about violence.
Yeah.
Children become violent. But I think even not being violent, if children just stay hours and hours in front of the video game, they might have problems to socialize with other people. They might not become a violent person, but I think they'll have problems in the future.
What do you? Okay, so I have heard that argument too, and then what some people say is, in fact, a lot of these games are played online, and they're very social in the sense that, for example, my son, he plays Minecraft, and when he's playing, he's on like a server with other kids, and they're talking, and they're planning, and they're saying, "Don't go in there, come over here, and don't shoot me," or something like that. So not everybody, but a lot of games now you can play with your friends, even if they're in another place, in their house. You can be online, and using Skype or something, you can actually talk to each other and be playing at the same time. So it's kind of like you're together almost. What do you think?
It's a very controversial topic here. So I believe when we are even playing these games, we are having a little bit of socializing, but we are not feeling. Sometimes we must see the other person. We must feel what his or her feeling right now.
Yeah.
And since these games they create avatars, and even considering the fact it's you right over there, and the other side there is another person, it's still a character for me. So sometimes this person might be playing just a character, and it's not exactly how they are. We're not talking exactly about the other person, about their real characteristics. So I believe that the old field contact, when you are talking to other person physically, I think it's still the best way to socialize with someone else.
Yeah, so we could say you're old school.
Yes.
You go for old school socializing. Yes. Yeah, that's what a lot of people say, because a lot of people, especially my age, so I'm 43, a lot of people remember when we were young, we didn't have the opportunity to just sit in front of a computer for hours and hours. The computers were just to come out, and they weren't that exciting. They couldn't do all these amazing things. And so we spent a lot of time outside, getting together, hanging out with friends, walking around the neighborhood, things like that. So it's different, and some people think it's better. and that now the streets are empty. We don't see kids walking around outside together because they're all inside playing on their computers. Yeah. I don't know.
It's a kind of controversial because the violence is out there. So
yes, that's true.
the real violence is out there. So we
right.
are playing violence inside, but there's violence outside. So if you're not learning, you're just switching the places. We're not learning violence outside. We're learning inside, but it's the same.
Similar because, yeah, some people say, well, at least now if they're inside, I know that they're safe and they're not causing any harm. You know, because in the past, maybe if you didn't know where your kids were, maybe they could get into trouble or, you know, something like that. Yeah. That's another thing. So, Yuki, let's bring you into the conversation. What are your thoughts on this idea that, well, we kind of broadened it. We started off with video games, violent video games contributing to youth violence. Like, are kids more aggressive these days? Are they desensitized? Do they, you know, do we think that it's okay to hit people if we're mad at them? That kind of stuff. But then we broadened it to just video games in general. So what do you think?
It looks like quite hot topics now.
Yes.
Yes, it is often reported that after the incident of killing street people by gun, by young man, it turned out that the guy was get into the guy was getting into the video game,
right?
And people criticized that the violence video game is a main cause of violent action among young people. Yes, it's quite controversial theme. I don't know. Video game have enough power to influence young people to let them make him crazy.
Yeah.
Cause them to kill others in real world with real gun. It's incredible, but it's possible because a lot of games prevailing. A lot of games are released now in the world is sounds quite violent. So and it make you excited, and maybe it cause you a feeling that you can kill anyone. Maybe you will feel fun to kill someone, even in real world. So it might be dangerous, but I don't know.
Yeah, you know, some people.
Specialists have several ideas, different ideas. So it is very controversial. Topic.
It's interesting. This is a new study out, I guess, and this quote is kind of funny. You know, because you mentioned that, yeah, certainly if somebody causes a crime, let's say, or commits, which is the right word, commits a violent crime, you know, later it might say like, oh yeah, he really liked to play video games, but the fact might be that, you know, a lot of people play video games, and not everybody is out there committing violent crimes.
Yes,
so
indeed,
it's not a causal relationship, yeah.
Yes, of course, very few people take action in real world, of course. But do you remember that in the beginning of this year, maybe There is a big incident in the U.S. Yeah, a young man get into the kindergarten and killed maybe 8 or 9 children there in front of their teacher with shotgun.
Yeah.
So it was a very awful incident. And after that, it turned out that he was a big fan of how to say what is called it's a killing game.
Yeah.
Yes, with gun. So violent game.
Video game. Yeah.
Yes. So maybe there is some big influence of such a game into the brain, human's brain, especially brain of young people that is not so fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not still fixed.
Yeah, I think one of these things is it's really hard to study basically because you try to figure out why somebody does what they do, and usually it's not so easy. It's not like a black and white situation. So a lot of times there's all kinds of things involved. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe there's drugs. Some of these shooters have been on medications for depression that some people think causes them to go crazy in this way. So it's definitely a very controversial issue because, like Chao's saying, it's hard to find the cause rather than just a correlation, like a commonality. Because a lot of people drink alcohol and never kill anybody. A lot of people take drugs and never commit crimes. A lot of people are on medications and don't do those things. So there's some kind of something
you are right.
that happens.
You are right.
Yeah.
But we have to pay attention the fact that alcohol alcohol is taken by adult. Children usually don't have alcohol. Yeah.
Not usually,
but nowadays, even little children are playing video game, portable video game. I mean. Especially in Japan, in every family, every children now are used to playing game with his little console, portable console like Nintendo. So it's a great amount of children now playing games every day.
Do you know whether or not violent crimes are going up in Japan or down or staying the same? Do you know about
that? Statistics say that there is no change in the number of crimes in recent 50 years. Opposite, there is gradually the number of crimes has been decreased. So there is no direct involvement, direct connection between a number of gamers and number of crimes, but I don't know.
Yeah. See, those are all the things that it's hard to really know what the truth is. Well, I don't know, Rafael or Luis, what about in Brazil? Do you guys know anything about crime? Do people? I mean, it's election time, so maybe they're reporting on it. Has crime gone up, or has it gone down, or similar? What do you guys know?
Actually, I haven't read or seen nothing about that. I don't know if Rafael knows something. Anything?
Actually, talking about I don't know, this election times, it's hard to believe in what people are saying and what they say about, because they talk about, it's hard to believe, there are so many different news from different sources, so it's hard to believe in the news. But I think the crime levels have soared up lately due to several reasons, not related with the youth, but I think it's related with policies, related with crime policies in which our laws are ineffective against the problem of violence here. So I don't think it's related exactly with the use of video games, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And Chao, in China, do you have access to all the same video games that we have here, or do you have different video games, or what's the access like for teenagers, for example?
Well, I think we have most video game as United States do. I mean, but I think that the government banned some video game, which has some, but it's not because of violence, but because of political reason. Because the video game in itself has the Chinese troop, and the Chinese troop was some kind of killed by another troop or something. So they banned
that. Okay.
And, well, but I think for the video game it's okay. I think we can have lots of video game as other countries do. And the thing about Chinese video game that we have lots of the copycat video game.
Okay. Yeah.
So it means that we can get some free video game and ignore the copyright law and the intellectual property right now. For me, I think that is good. That is another story, but yeah, I think video game is very popular in China.
Okay. So, what if you were a parent right now, Chao? What would your choice be for how to talk to your kids about this? Would you just let them play as much as they want, or?
Well, I won't let them to play as much they want, because playing video game is physically harmful to their health. I mean, if they stand in front of a computer or PS4 for 2 hours a day, that is very bad for their eyes and their body. I think that is not good. I have to protect them from this potential harm. But for the mental part, or some content or the information in this video game, I won't put much control. They have to. They can learn these violent things because it did happen in the real world. I won't ban them from learning that, but I will control the time because for the health reason.
Yeah, that's another thing that some people say, and we're going to have to end here, but, what's happening in the real world, these are the real images that we see on TV and on the internet, and I just typed in ISIS, so this is just one, and these are some pretty gross, real life things that are happening that children are also being exposed to, either because of the news media or internet media sites, or knowing what's going on around the world. So it could be a way that they talk about that too. Yeah.
Most important point is nowadays you can access to the violence scene, cruel scene, massacre on the video very easily. So such a impact on the human's mind, especially of the young people, is enormous. So I think I am very afraid of the future development of
the human being. Yeah, of the human being.
Of the human.
You're fearing the future for the humans. Yeah, it's a good point. Although Yuki, let's remember, like, I know that I've watched the movie Troy, for example, with my sons, and even back in the old days, it was just really violent. So,
yes, it's quite violent film. I have seen this film.
But that was real, is what I'm saying. That
yes, it was real, but yes, it is very there are a lot of violent scenes there. It's very very concretely it is depicted. Violent scenes, killing scenes depicted very
yeah.
Very concretely.
Yeah.
And such an image, it is of course it is a imaginary film. It is of course fiction, but at the other hand, you can access to the real video on YouTube. So you maybe someone cannot distinguish real thing from fiction. The border of non-fiction and fiction is now become little. So that's a problem.
Yes. Okay. Well, you guys are men, so you can help the young men grow up to not be violent. It takes everybody's willingness to have a different kind of world. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks for coming and to class tonight, and have a good weekend, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, good to see you guys. Take care.
Bye,
Bye, guys.
everyone. Bye.